Is one of my best friends. This comic hosts every Sunday at a little bar in Reno called the Red Rock Bar. He is Reno's favorite little Mexi-Midge. Mexi-Midge. You'll see what I mean when you see him come up here. He's adorable, I swear to God, it's just cute. Folks, without further ado, put your hands together and get excited for the very talented, the very funny, very short, Mr. Brandon Lara!
Oh man, Fallon. Keep it going for Pat Shalito for putting this shit together. Man, this shit is so fucking awesome. You guys are amazing. His girlfriend is actually in the crowd tonight, Miss Tara, the wonderful Tara. They've actually been in a relationship for over a year now. Give it up for that. Committed relationship. Yeah, she's heard all of his jokes. Unfortunately, the only one that she likes is his dick. Now, I'd like to say that I love Fallon, but I've done a few shows here. You know, and honestly, Fallon's kind of a creepy place, man. Last time we were driving out here in the dark, drove by a couple of signs, and it was like, "Watch for children." We were in the middle of nowhere. And I was like, man, I hope there aren't any pedophiles around here. Drove past another sign that said, "Whale watching." But it was just another Walmart. Drove past another sign that said, "You can watch shooting stars." But it was just an old Amy Winehouse poster. Anyway, my name is Brandon Lara. I was on the internets earlier. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that internet site called Wikipedia. But I typed my name in, and the result that came back said that I didn't exist. So I started calling it Dad. It was a great relationship. I am a bastard child, though. You know, I have a stepdad that loves me like a real dad would. He says things like, "You know what, son? I hit you because I love you." But, you know, I can tell that he loves my mom just a little bit more than me. Judging by how big her bruises are. So. Anyway, my friends call me a Mexi-Midge because I'm half Mexican, half midget. No, that's not nearly as bad as it sounds. I get paid under the table. I don't have to bend over. It fucking works out. There are benefits and downsides to being short, though. One of the benefits are I never have to be in one of those awkward situations where somebody in front of you drops something and I want to be a gentleman and pick it up. I got you. I'm already halfway there. Downside, I can't grow a beard. Well, I mean, I can, but people often mistake me for a lawnmower. So. Downside, well, the cookies on top of the refrigerator are still just out of my reach. You know, my friends pick on me, they call me stupid names, ask me stupid questions like where they can find the yellow brick road. I do represent the Lollipop Guild, but I have seen the wizard, and he is an asshole. I can tell you. I asked him if he can give me the fucking courage to divorce my wife, and he was like, "You don't need courage." He just took half of everything I had and gave me a cardboard box to live in. Yeah. I don't speak a whole lot of Spanish. I don't say things like "Odale" and "La Raza." I say things more like "Dora the Explorer." Like, "Hola, can you spot the illegal immigrant getting free healthcare?" I've never mowed a lawn in my life, though, and that's because I am one with nature. Although I do park my car on it sometimes. I love hitting on the Latin chicks, man. Love Latin women. Reminds me of a game I used to play as a child, but except I call it Pick Up Spicks now. I was celebrating Cinco de Mayo. I was downtown Reno one year. Whole bunch of Mexican families, man. Mothers, fathers, children. And I'm not saying that they were a bunch of snitches, but somebody definitely spilled the beans. I did grow up in northern Mexico. Some of you guys might know it more as the Bay Area, California. All over the Bay, man. More specifically, the ghetto. Something about that place, man. It makes you feel, what is it, broke? No, I grew up in nice neighborhoods. You know, everybody had a fence with barbed wire. All the kids come running out to the yard, thinking you're the daddy. But no, I had ghetto Christmas, and I'm not saying like a Charlie Brown Christmas because your ass is too cheap to go out and buy a real tree. I'm saying we were broke. I didn't get presents from Santa Claus. Thank you, that one person. The rest of you are terrible parents. And the other half should never have children. I didn't get presents. Instead, I just got a new brother or sister every year, so. I do got a lot of black friends, naturally, and phone calls. And they got a lot of children, naturally. They like to name them fancy things like Denali or Tanya. But I'm like, why don't you name them something more realistic, like Tame? No. I knew a couple once, they had twins, real cute, boy and a girl. And they named them Lawasha and Ladrya. I was in the Boy Scouts as a kid. I was about this tall. And I still take part as an adult. As a matter of fact, I tripled the sales this last fiscal year in popcorn. Because, you know, boys sell popcorn, girls sell cookies. But I'll never forget the day I sent the kids up on this neighborhood called Sutro and McCarran out in Reno. Some of you guys might not be familiar, but my friend tells me you can go on the internet and look up all the sexual predators in the area. And apparently that neighborhood is like the Ring of Fire in the Pacific. But I will never forget the day that I went up to the door and the guy was like, "Oh, you are the most adorable thing I have ever seen. Have you ever been photographed?" Oh. And I was like, "No." But he was willing to get me that headshot on the back of a milk carton. I disappeared for the next 3 months of my life, and I'm going to be honest, it was the best 3 months of my life. Oh. No, it wasn't even about the sex. Pat and I went to Disney on Ice together.
Way to go, Pat!
Get it, girl! I was a science major. I went to college for a little bit. One of the most fascinating topics, I love time travel. Like, I grew up watching movies like Donnie Darko, Back to the Future, Quantum Leap for you older people. Man, if I could go back in time and fix some of the mistakes that I've made in my life, I know this guy's looking down at the ring on his finger like, yeah, me too. But I figured I could do the same thing myself, so I took everything I learned from college, a handful of Vicodin, a fifth of vodka. Next thing you know, I'm living in Reno. Good times. I'm officially a local there. Got my first DUI. No, that means I need another one. I heard meth is pretty popular there. You can hit me up anytime, 1-800-NO-TEETH. hate that the weather is getting colder. I love the summertime. I hate the rain and the snow. I especially hate watching the weather forecast when meteorologist says things like, so we expect highs of about 35s, lows about 30s, and expect a few inches tonight. You know, I hear that shit from my girlfriend all the time. It was just nice to hear it from somebody else for a change. Had a job downtown working in Reno. I worked with mental patients, drug addicts, recovering alcoholics, and if memory serves me right, some of you guys look familiar. But I worked at a Quiznos. I had a group of Mexican kids walk in one time. They were all wearing matching jerseys and shit, and I was like, hey, you guys here for a soccer tournament? And they're like, no, fencing. I'm like, really? What construction company do you work for? The dating scene is weird in Reno. I prefer the online dating sites myself. One of my favorites, you might have heard of it, Ancestry.com. Ow. Keep it in the family. If my girlfriend and I ever broke up, we'd be brother and sister again. But if you were ever thinking about breaking up with your spouse, it's as easy as giving them a brochure that says, when the fun stops. It's also good for gambling. You know, I never understood why guys take pictures of their penis and send it around on the internet. You know, via their phone. I don't know if you guys have ever seen my phone, but this does not do justice.
Woo! Woo!
This does not do justice. I swear to God, if you saw a picture of my penis on this thing, you would think it was like a sonogram of a baby. That is so adorable. Is it a girl? You know, if it were up to me, I would prefer something more like the bat signal. At least the silhouette would be black. Help me, sweetheart. My girlfriend and I have a... Oh, where am I? My girlfriend and I have a real interesting relationship. As a lady, we can get really creative. She went down on me the other night. She made this really weird sound. It sounded something like... And at first I was really confused. But then she went down there again. She was like... And that's when it dawned on me. That is the same sound that Yoshi makes in Mario. You ain't fooling nobody, bitch. She asked me to return the favor, and I was like, bum, bum, bum. Because it was a dungeon. But no, I'm a gentleman. I turned her over on her toadstool and I was like, I turned every color of the rainbow. I was invincible for like 10 seconds. My girlfriend turned around at me and she was like, "What the fuck was that?" And I was like, "What? It's me! I'm Maya!" Girlfriend's in the crowd tonight. Let's talk some shit about her. It's not as good as it sounds. Her vagina is more like the fruitcake that gets passed around for Christmas. Nobody's really sure what's in it. But everybody takes a piece and pretends like they enjoy it because we're all family, you know. Oh, shit. Did just celebrate her birthday though. Bought her an easy bake oven. Girl's gotta learn how to cook before she turns 14. I hope you guys like dirty jokes because it's going way downhill. Usually I like to share my sexual exploits. You know, I've done shows for older people. They pretended like they didn't enjoy it. You know what I mean? Until I had two older ladies come up to me after a show and they're like, "You know, it's not like we didn't know what you were talking about, but we've been watching porn since like the 20s. I have a dildo that I used to have to shovel coal into just to get it going." I ate out a girl one time. Well, not one time, but just this one time in a specific situation. She had a yeast infection and a sunburn. No, it tasted like a grilled cheese sandwich. So. There was another time that I ate out a girl that just had a yeast infection, but at least it was gluten-free. I had a guy come up to me once and he told me, "You know what, Brandon, eating out a black chick is like sucking mayonnaise through steel wool." No, it was perfect up until some of you guys chuckled. I expected nothing but silence. That's because I preferred Miracle Whip. You know, I learned something interesting about girls. They lie about stupid shit, especially their diets. Like, you know, I dated a chick, she was a vegetarian, which was cool with me. At least that's what she said. But, you know, girls, you know how guys eat citrus fruits or whatever, it makes their semen taste better, right? Absolutely. Yes. I heard one guy say absolutely. Same thing goes for girls. Don't fucking lie to me. Bitch said she was a vegetarian, went down there to eat that pussy. I expected something like a fucking spring salad, not something that came off of the dollar menu. No. I told that joke to a girl one time and she was thoroughly not impressed, much like some of you ladies. No, this girl looked at me and she was like, "Eat my pussy, see what happens." And I was like, "Bitch, that's my line. Let me eat your pussy and see what happens." When you say it, you make it sound like a fucking game of Jumanji. Roll the dice, you don't know what's coming out. You don't know what's coming out next. Fucking Robin Williams. You know. It's a shame that catching STDs isn't more like catching Pokemon. If that were the case, I would be the very best, like no one ever was. And I could say things like, "Fuck you, Ash, my Charmander burns way more than your gonorrhea." I smoke a lot of weed. Woo! Yeah. don't know if you guys ever been so high before you pulled up to a curbside mailbox and tried to order burger and fries. I have. I get so high, I get dyslexic, I get my phrases backwards. For example, I thought the phrase, hey, you should look both ways before you cross the street. Well, I live in Reno, and you should look both ways so you don't run into that asshole that keeps asking you for balloons. Because what he really wants is heroin. And if you tell him to go to Party City again, he's going to fucking kill your ass. I thought the phrase, close but no cigar, only pertained to miscarriages. Opened up a box of Cheerios one day and I thought, oh my God, Cheerios are just donut seeds. Like celebrating 420, April 20th is also Hitler's birthday. Boo. But one of his favorite ways to celebrate was inviting all of his Jewish friends over for a barbecue. No. It was a great party. It was just like Burning Man. Except everybody showered. I love having tattoos just as much as I love having pets. But when you regret getting too many, you gotta remove them, right? With lasers.
Tattoos.
Not too many pets, I reckon. I'm a big Star Wars fan. Star Wars fans. Can you imagine what Star Wars would be like if Darth Vader smoked weed? Right? It would probably go something like this. Luke. Bro, I'm actually your mother. I love watching television. They're coming out with a new reality TV show for Reno, and it's just for the homeless people. It reminds me of that show called Deal or No Deal. You guys know. Yeah. Except they call it Meal or No Meal. I'm a big fan of the zombie movies. You guys like The Walking Dead?
Yeah.
Where's Carl? Where's Carl? There's all kinds of zombie flicks, man. You can watch zombies in space, stripper zombies, Nazi zombies, but there has never ever been a zombie movie based in San Francisco. Why? Because zombies are supposed to eat brains and not each other's assholes. Get excited, they're coming out with a new Back to the Future movie. Michael J. Fox is coming back to the silver screen. They were thinking about a couple of new ideas they were throwing around. They were thinking about going all the way back in time before women had rights.
Oh.
And they were going to call it Back to the Kitchen. Are you on your way already?
Ladies, who's with me?
I'm hungry. The more the merrier. Get going. If not, they were thinking about going all the way back in time before slavery was abolished, and they were going to call it Back to Work.
You're on your own, buddy.
Nigger.
What the?
I'll leave you guys with one more before I get out of here, or I die. They're coming out with a new sitcom geared towards gay guys. Reminds me of that old black and white TV show you guys Leave It to Beaver. But they call it Leave It, It's Beaver. Alright guys,